Hi, my name is Leanne Alvarado. Today I will be presenting my graduate project on managing the global workforce. This project is for the course MGT 6220 at Amberton University with Dr. Diane Sanchez. On today's agenda, I will be providing my introduction and hypothesis statement, give an overview of my US-based company and their new corporate office in Canada, the methodology used in the study. I will also conduct a literature review on several articles relating to the global workforce in Canada, review the limitations of the study, present my recommendations and impacts of the 21st century workforce, as well as the references I have used for the study. The objective of my project is to examine the challenges of creating a global mobility program for a US-based multinational organization who is expanding corporate operations into Canada. The subject or person of interest in my study will be a US-based human resource training manager working for Concord Hospitality Enterprises, corporate headquarters in Raleigh, North Carolina. The training manager will be sent on a global assignment to Canada in order to monitor and observe workplace culture, support programs, and to understand general laws in the corporate office located in Canada. My hypothesis is that assigning a training manager on a global assignment to Concord Hospitality's new corporate office with the specific purpose of monitoring Canadian workplace culture, support programs, and laws in place will help the U.S. corporate office implement a well-designed global mobility program. Concord Hospitality Enterprises was established in 1985 by Mark G. Laporte. Mark Laporte currently still holds his position as president and CEO of the company. Mark Laporte's mission and goals for Concord were to develop and acquire high-quality hotels and to provide dedicated management services to these properties. Concord prides itself in the developing and operation of hotels of the highest quality, and the name Concord has become synonymous with excellence. Today, Concord Hospitality has hotels in over 22 U.S. states and 2 Canadian provinces, allowing them to become one of the leading hotel management companies in the American hospitality market. Currently, Concord has over 100 properties in their portfolio and employs over 6,000 associates. Concord Hospitality believes that it is their culture and commitment to the guest experience that has allowed them to make these great achievements. Concord's mission is to be a great place to work for all. They believe that when people feel safe and free to be authentic, they will always bring their best selves to work. Concord Hospitality promotes an associate-first culture. This means they pride themselves in a diverse, respectful, open, honest, engaging, and empowered working environment. It is believed that Concord's culture is a large part of what drives their ability to be recognized for consistency and commitment in providing service to the guests at the highest excellence. Concord currently has 4 global initiatives, which includes wellness, charitable giving, sustainability, and safety. The mental, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being of all associates is to be preserved and cared for. Charitable giving is provided for through donations, volunteering opportunities, and through Share Day. Share Day is celebrated annually, which allows all associates time off if they are willing to participate in a full day dedicated to charitable activities, giving back to their individual local communities. Sustainability occurs through Concord's Spirit to Preserve. Safety is another global initiative for Concord as they actively believe in a zero-accident workplace culture. The methodology used in the project includes both qualitative and quantitative peer-reviewed scholarly research studies. I will also use my own personal experiences as a human resource associate within the hospitality industry and as a Concord Hospitality employee to make commentary and suggestions. I also utilized corporate statements accessible through their website, blog posts, and articles about the Canadian workplace, as well as government postings in order to ascertain information about the Canadian workplace, cultures, laws, and attitudes towards immigrants and those on international assignments. The first literature review covered is titled Walking the Talk on Diversity, CEO Beliefs, Moral Values, and the Implementation of Workplace Diversity Practices. In this study, the researchers explore existing literature to guide their theoretical frameworks. The researchers did this in order to propose a sequential mediating process on how CEOs signal their beliefs about diversity and how it impacts the implementation of diversity practices within an organization. The study was done as diversity is an ever-increasing factor in the workplace and is currently a major ongoing issue faced by Canadian places of work. In Canada, there has been an increase in women and minorities alike within the workplace. This has created the need for increased diversity programs and initiatives that extend beyond federal laws. As federal laws do help to promote organizational diversity practices, there has been very little research done to show how different stakeholders actively affect the advancement and practices towards diversity within an organization. The formal study was conducted in Canada and included 1,283 organizations, which had been drawn from the Financial Post 500 list of the largest firms in Canada. These firms were selected because of their duty to comply with the Canadian Federal Employment Equity Act and the Canadian Human Rights Act. The study was conducted through 2 sets of surveys sent to each organization. The 2 separate surveys were each sent to the organization's CEO and then to the human resource managers. The survey sent to the CEO aimed to gather information about their demographics, beliefs, about diversity, values, and how their behavior has supported diversity. The survey sent out to the human resource managers aimed to assess manager perceptions of their CEO's behavior and commitments towards diversity, as well as the extent to which their organization has implemented diversity practices. Through the examination of the results of the survey, the study concluded that the CEOs who have positive beliefs about diversity are more likely to take action in the support of diversity practices and behaviors. The study also shows that CEOs who reported low moral values were more likely to have negative beliefs about diversity and were less likely to take action in diversity practices beyond what is federally required. The human resource manager surveys resulted in similar results, that diversity implementation practices were more successful when they had the support of the CEO. The study also found that CEOs who had positive beliefs about diversity were viewed in a favorable light within the organization. The study helps to outline basic federal employment laws as well as outlines the importance of diversity measures within the Canadian workplace. These findings can aid in the development of a successful global mobility program by providing the corporate management with the understanding of Canadian federal employment laws as well as the importance of diversity measures and the need for implementation of diversity training for those who go out on global assignments. The second literature review done is titled Canadian Correctional Officers' Experiences of Workplace Safety and Stress During the COVID-19 Pandemic. The objective of this study was to understand how the COVID-19 crisis has affected stress levels and well-being for employees in correctional facilities in Canada. Unlike the United States of America, COVID-19 has had profound impacts on Canadian workers and seems to still have quite the effects on workers within the correctional industry today. Correctional work is already considered one of the most stressful and dangerous industries to work in, as workers are consistently exposed to a multitude of organizational and operational factors that contribute to poor mental and physical health. While the researchers note that there has been an increased focus on studying the well-being of public safety personnel, there is a critical lack of research on the effects of the pandemic towards frontline workers and how it has specifically impacted their well-being. In this study, the researchers applied theoretical models of stress to explore the correlation of COVID-19 related stress within the correctional setting. The research also used existing literature and studies on both the field of correctional work as well as COVID-19 infection rates in Canada in order to create their theoretical framework to examine correctional officers' perceptions of workplace safety, pandemic-related impacts to their roles and responsibilities, and their experience of COVID-19 related stress. The study was conducted through self-report surveys from Canadian provincial correctional officers. The survey was conducted using an online platform called Qualtrics. The study was designed surrounding the stress theory's 6 constructs, which measured levels of resiliency, perceptions of workplace safety, experiences with changes in role and responsibilities due to COVID-19, perceived work stress, perceived support, and perceived COVID-19 related work stress. The participants of the study included 1 federal public service union and 13 provincial and territorial unions. The sample study included a total of 596 identified provincial union-based correctional officers and an estimated total targeted population of nearly 10,220 correctional officers. Through the examination of the results of the survey, the study concluded that a majority of correctional officers reported that their job was dangerous, with only 3.4% disagreeing. The study also found that only 1 in 4 correctional officers felt safe in their place of work during the COVID-19 pandemic, and only 27.5% of the participants felt that their workplace had implemented safe and effective working conditions to prevent the spread of COVID-19 within the workplace. The study found that 73.7% of participants believed that the pandemic significantly impacted their jobs, creating a more challenging workplace. This was due to the complication of communication, procedures, unclear COVID-19 related rules, and overall an air of confusion related to the pandemic. The study also found that work-related stress had significantly increased as many correctional officers were scared to catch the virus, had a lack of encouragement and support from management, and had a lack of stress coping methods. The study helps to outline policy recommendations for correctional services in Canada. The study recommends that there needs to be increased clear communication of safety precautions that help to address job-related stressors and undue hazards of the industry. There needs to be a heavier focus placed upon employee well-being, which can be done through providing mental health resources, support groups, and more. The study also notes in prior research done that there is a clear stigma surrounding mental health and a lack of clear communication on how workers can reach out for support. Overall, the study found that in order to create resilient workers, employers must equip them with resources to enhance emotional, cognitive, and physiosocial strengths in order to allow them to cope with stressors and negative experiences within the workplace. Other resources employers can offer are support groups where the employee can discuss their experiences, discuss emotions associated with the job, build self-esteem, and provide them with a supportive workplace culture. These findings can aid in the development of a global mobility program for U.S. workers, as in the United States, there is an increased openness in the communication of mental health and employee well-being. The Global Mobility Program can ensure that U.S.-based workers are informed of COVID-19 precautions and how to follow them, mental health resources in Canada, and can place a focus on employees on international assignments having support groups. The third literature review done is titled A Study of the Effectiveness of Workplace Health and Safety Programs in a University Setting in Canada. The study notes that the workforce in Canada is quite diverse as it has a considerable occupational diversity. The study notes that due to the diversity of work in Canada, even within the working environment of universities, employees can encounter a variety of occupational health risks. However, there has been little research done about existing occupational health and safety programs offered within the university setting. Currently, Canadian workers within the education industry are typically only covered by provincial health and safety legislations. In this study, researchers used prior studies and surveys conducted in order to assess knowledge of workplace health and safety, as well as allowing the researchers to gain insight into important factors that could help make health and safety programs more effective. The researchers in the study utilized both surveys and interviews in order to collect and analyze data. There were 2 anonymous surveys conducted, which included graduate students, faculty members, and staff that worked for the Memorial University of Newfoundland. The interviews were done after all these surveys were completed. The interviews consisted of 8 officials who were directly responsible for the creation of health and safety programs at the university. The interviews claimed to understand the current initiative for health and safety that have taken place and their knowledge of safety policies. The study found that there was a positive correlation between those who attended safety presentations and a high awareness of safe work practices compared to those who did not attend. It was also found that there was a significant difference in graduate student and researcher awareness of lab safety procedures, as only 51% of them noted that they felt safe in campus labs. This study helps to outline the association with health and safety training and awareness of policies and practices. The findings note that there should be a greater focus placed on the periodic analysis of the effectiveness of health and safety programs in order to allow for the updating of guidelines and to address areas of concern. These findings can aid in the development of a global mobility program as it allows for the creation of proper education and training of Canadian federal labor laws, as well as provincial-specific health and safety regulations, helping to ensure the safety of those sent on international assignments. The fourth literature review done is titled Canadian Occupational Performance Measures, Benefits and Limitations Highlighted Using the Delphi Method and Principal Component Analysis. The study notes that human beings need to be engaged in activities and occupations that help to maintain and develop their skills, social life, and health. In the study, researchers used the Canadian Occupational Performance Measure, otherwise known as COPM, in order to evaluate any changes in daily occupations and how it affects satisfaction levels for people. The COPM is often used by occupational therapists in order to evaluate and prioritize issues that restrict their clients from everyday living. The study notes that the COPM is primarily disease-focused. The objective of the study was to participate in the change of French practice of the COPM towards client-centered and occupational-centered approaches and to identify benefits and weaknesses of using the COPM approach. The study utilized the Delphi technique, which aims to gather a consensus via the judgment of experts and identify the convergence of expert opinion. The Delphi technique consisted of 4 stages, which constitute of an expert group, development of a questionnaire, consultation processes, and tabulation and analysis. The participants in the study consisted of state-qualified French occupational therapists who had completed a total of 28 hours of COPM training. The study found that there was a positive outcome when COPM was applied to both client-centered and occupational-centered approaches. The study outlined the need to further implement COPM as it can help to reduce challenges associated with occupational therapists taking a client-centered occupational approach towards treatment. This approach allowed therapists to better understand and treat those who faced issues related to organizations, institutions, and allowed for the acceptance of professional health teams to adopt to the new change in their practice models. These findings will be useful in the creation of a global mobility program as it gives insight into Canadian work practices and provides the understanding of the COPM. The inclusion of the COPM into a global mobility program can help to provide those on international assignment with resources to keep up engagement within activities available to them in Canada that will help to improve skills, social life, and overall health. The 5th literature review done is titled Occupational Immobility in the Global Care Economy, the Case of Foreign Trained Nurses in the Canadian Context. The article aims to examine the labor market experiences of highly skilled migrant nurses in Canada. The article will primarily focus on the experiences of migrant nurses from the Philippines and India, as these 2 countries are among the top producers of care workers who are employed in Canada. The article found that these highly skilled nurses should be able to fare better in a highly skilled required economy. However, many are facing occupational immobility. These findings were examined through literature review. The literature review revealed that the occupational regulation and occupational interlocking is a relatively unexplored topic within the global care chain. The literature review revealed that in the 21st century workforce, there has been a significant increase in migrant women into the labor markets, as well as findings that show Canada has an ongoing political restructuring of social welfare toward market-based supply-side welfare policies. Currently, nurses represent the largest and most internationalized and feminized section of health professionals, and healthcare systems heavily rely on internationally educated nurses in order to meet structural shortages that are being experienced. Unfortunately, the globalization of this industry has led to the exploitation and uneven development of nurses. In Canada, the regulatory body of these nurses can vary based on provincial level. However, most commonly, there is the College of Nursing of Ontario, who is the dominating regulatory body. It is their job to ensure the fair and standard employment of nurses based upon education levels and requirement. It was, however, found that the assessment measures of the nurses were interpreted to be ambiguous, which has led to frustration of migrant workers who are blocked from their occupational goals. The article finds that the development of international occupational mobility is a positive force for individuals and should be actively promoted through the globalization of health professionals. The study also finds that nursing is a rich and productive occupation to engage with in order to assess social policy and political economy transformations in Canada. This will allow for the exploration of the integration of immigrants into formally regulated occupations managed by professionals associations, which are increasingly important workplace institutions themselves. These findings will be useful in the creation of a global mobility program as it provides insight into certain governance rulings and regulatory body perspectives on migrant workers. While those on international assignments are not necessarily considered migrant workers, this will be useful in understanding Canadian policy and attitudes toward those on international assignments. It can allow for the U.S. corporate office to understand that these workers may experience challenges associated with occupational mobility within the hospitality industry, and can help to implement ways to avoid these challenges, ensuring that the employment goals can be met for those workers in Canada, Concord-owned hotels, and in the newly opened corporate office. Limitations of the study include challenges in finding peer-reviewed research on specific topics of international assignments and global mobility programs of United States workers to Canada. There is also very limited research within the hospitality industry in Canada in regard to international assignments. Another limitation of the study was that there was no data available from Concord on the current number of associates on international assignments and what programs they currently have in place for those associates. There are several recommendations I have for the Global Mobility Program. These recommendations extend to compensation, cultural adjustments, support practices, and repatriation into U.S. workforce. Compensation. The position affected by the Global Mobility Program will retain the same baseline salary as all Concord management positions receive a quarterly 15% bonus. There will be no adjustments to international assignments. Considering that Canadian living expenses such as rent, social outings, and groceries are related closely to city living prices in the U.S., this furthers the recommendation that there should be no adjustments. Cultural adjustments. I would recommend that the Global Mobility Program does include a cultural sensitivity training as well as a diversity training that gives employees insight on some general Canadian workplace practices, laws, and the Canadian work style. The diversity training will extend to minorities, women, and refugees, as these groups of people are beginning to dominate the workforce in Canada. As Concord's mission is to be a great place to work for all, and they want to actively promote an open, honest, and collaborative work environment, employees should have an easy time adjusting to workplace cultural norms. In Canada, there is a general sense of collaboration, consensus-driven work cultures, and a heavy emphasis placed upon teamwork and openness of communication. It is also important to note that the Global Mobility Program will need to familiarize workers with Canadian labor laws and regulations in order to have full comprehension of benefits and protections afforded to them while on international assignments, all of which will allow them to have a smoother transition into the Canadian workplace. Support practices. I would also make the recommendation that the Global Mobility Program should place a focus on mental health support programs. Mental health resources have a higher focus placed on them because many workers post-COVID-19 are experiencing increased stress. Promoting mental health within the workplace will also help those on international assignments feel that they have a support group abroad. I would also recommend that the mobility program includes an on-site mental health resource officer where an employee, expat or not, can receive information into the Associate Assistance Program, as well as a guide on resources offered throughout Canada. The resource officer will also be able to assist in the education of expatriate workers on the Canadian healthcare system and the benefits afforded to them while on international assignments. Repatriation. The repatriation of those on international assignments can be a gradual process, as this will avoid culture shock when re-entering into the U.S. workforce. The repatriated employees will be guaranteed reinstatement of their original status, as well as the choice to re-elect original or new health care benefits upon re-entry into the United States. The associate will continue to receive continued career discussion of future career goals, keeping them engaged and motivated. Check-ins will be required every 3 months over the next year with repatriated employees. These check-ins will be conducted by the Corporate Director of Employee Relations in order to ensure well-being, reduce culture shock, and to create an environment of support and openness where the employee can discuss challenges and concerns associated with their return. Creating a successful global mobility program will have major impacts towards the 21st century workforce. Well laid out global mobility programs can help to attract and retain talent through engagement and support programs, increase cross-cultural collaboration, allow for support programs to improve overall well-being, as well as assist companies in overcoming challenges expatriate employees face. Not only this, but creating a well-designed global mobility program will allow for the greater branding as they will be associated with a positive brand. Global mobility programs are often seen as forward-thinking, fostering diverse and inclusive workplaces, giving an overall improved view on the company within the working market. This can help to attract and retain highly skilled and valued workers. As Concord continues to expand their portfolio, there is the increased possibility that there will be an increase in the need for employees to take on foreign assignments. Ensuring that a successful global mobility program is already established will help to reduce future organizational challenges associated with the influx of associates on foreign assignments. My final slides contain all references used for my project. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a good day.